Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, welcome to the Hillbilly Files. For those of you who don't know, my name is Leo and I will be your humble host today. And we have got a story and a half for you guys today. You know how from time to time I'll tell you guys to, hang on to your socks. This is going to be a wild story. This is going to be one of those. This is one of those you want to, Velcro those socks in place or something. This one has a lot of twists and turns, and there's a surprise ending that I can just about guarantee that none of y'all will see coming. I've mentioned before, about how everyone in the graveyard here has a story, and every one of us has a story too. And ours isn't finished yet. Theirs is. Their story is finished, right? Ours is still being written. The thing is, we control what's in the story. We control what the story's about. We can make it about anything we want. We just can't control how long the story is. It may be a very short story. It may be an 800-page novel. We don't know. We just have to face down the barrel of immortality. Ooh, that's a good line. I like that. Whether you're religious or not, whether you believe in God or, any deity or not, we can all agree that we all are mortal and we all are staring down that barrel of mortality. We can all agree on that one. Now, the story we have for you today, like I said, this one is very unusual. This is one that we stumbled across. We stumbled across this last winter. We were up here doing a completely different story and happened to document some of this graveyard and ran across a story that had slipped through the cracks. There was no record of where this guy was. This story had totally slipped into obscurity. But while I was up here, like I said, I documented some of this graveyard. And when we started doing our research, we ran into something very unusual. And it's right back over here by this great big tree. Great big old dead tree. As a matter of fact, this is, in case I didn't mention it, this is the Coeburn Point Cemetery at the mouth of Pond Creek. And we are headed right back here past this great big old dead tree. I got lucky, the grass was cut. It's kind of hard to do these graveyard videos this time of year, but fall is coming and I'll soon be getting my hillbilly mountain goat on, climbing some mountains very soon, no doubt. Thing is really big, isn't it? Where we're headed is right over here, though. This one. This grave right here. Now this is Flem Varney, March 29th, 1892, January 15th, 1931. He was beloved by God and man. Varney. Now, the thing about this, here's what we found, okay? Let me get comfy here. I've got some stuff to kind of run over, and I figure I may as well get comfortable. Now, Flem Varney here was born on March 29th in 1892, like the stone says, here in Pinson Fort, Kentucky, not far from where we are right now. Back then, this region was still very much rough and rowdy. The Hatfield-McCoy feud had quieted down, but the violence was still a pretty normal occurrence. It isn't like that anymore. Times have changed. Life here now is much quieter outside the occasional petty theft or, addiction issues. But in Flem's day, things were very much different. He was the son of Hudson and Lucy Neal May. Tragedy struck early in his life when Flem's father died, leaving his mother to raise 7 children on her own. Flem grew up fast in a hard world. On February 28th in 1918, he married a woman named Mary Catherine Williamson. By 1930, the couple lived just up the holler here at Pond Creek, and records list Flem as a laborer in a trucking farm. But at some point, he also worked as a barber. He was only 37 years old and had 6 children, ranging from 10 years old down to a newborn, when his life spiraled into chaos. Flem had an older brother named Landon and another brother named Emsey. Now, Emsey, let me get comfortable here, get my legs all straightened out. Emsey had named one of his sons after Landon, right? Okay, now, on February 18th in 1930, Flem and this 22-year-old nephew, Landon, got into some sort of dispute at what newspapers called the coal bank. And that's just where a coal seam comes out, where it's exposed. You can go dig coal. Anyhow, belonged to Emsey. The details are a little bit murky, but whatever happened was serious enough that Landon took out a warrant for Flem's arrest. 3 days later, Flem showed up at Emsey's home here in Pond Creek. He claimed that he was there to talk with his brother about building plans, but no one expected what happened next. According to Flem here, Landon charged out of the house with a gun, shouting, "I said I'd kill you, and I meant it." Flem insisted that he fired in self-defense. Emsey, however, testified differently, saying Landon was half reclined on the porch steps when Flem shot him. The single bullet tore through Landon's thigh, traveled upward, and lodged near his heart. A wound like that would have been nearly impossible if Landon had been standing up, as Flem claimed. Flem was arrested and charged. He pleaded self-defense, saying that he had been nervous and weak from the flu and had even spent time in an asylum trying to recover his health. But the court didn't buy any of it. He was convicted of voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years in prison, but he remained out on bond during his appeal. But before the case could play out, Flem's life took another astonishing turn, one that would end up being fatal. On January 21st in 1931, less than a year later, Flem was accused of carrying on an affair with a married woman. Word spread that the two had even been seen together at a local boarding house. The woman's husband, 36-year-old coal miner named Gov Bishop of McAndrews, Kentucky, didn't take the news very well. Furious and humiliated, Bishop bought a pistol at a local pawn shop, and with a man named Jennings Sloan, went straight to Flem's house. That evening, Flem's 10-year-old daughter, Myrtle, watched from the kitchen window as the argument broke out. She later testified that her father turned his back to walk away, Then Gov Bishop opened fire. Gov emptied his gun, hitting Flem 3 times. Once in the thigh, once in the back, and once in the temple, bringing Flem to the ground where he stood. Afterward, Gov Bishop calmly went to the bank and withdrew all of his money. Arrested soon after, he claimed self-defense, saying Flem had reached for a gun but fumbled with it in his pocket. Even Sheriff Boyd Hatfield, yes, from the Hatfield family, testified to that story. The jury wrestled with the case and even deliberated overnight about it. In the end, Gov Bishop was sentenced to 8 years. He lived to the ripe old age of 86, dying in 1982. But for Flem Varney here, the story ended on that cold January night in 1931. The man who was sentenced for killing a man had been killed by another man before his sentence even started. His 6 children were left fatherless and his wife widowed. His life seemed to unravel in a perfect storm of conflict, some of it his own making and some of it from people around him. But at the end of the day, when the fighting was over and the tears were all shed, Flem was still lowered into this grave, and life moved on. We found this grave last winter, like I said, and there wasn't even a find a grave record or anything to mark that he was ever even here, or anything about this story. So we did some updating and we put some records up and changed all of everything and updated all of it. Maybe he deserves that that remembrance. Maybe he doesn't. But who are we to judge, right? Either way, like I said, we all write our own story and we all have our own infinity to face. Rest in peace, Flem Varney. And thank you all for coming along today to hear our little story. Have a good day, and we'll see you guys next time on the Hillbilly Files. Leo out.